Hi there gentlefolks, welcome back to my watercolour tutorial part 4, where I have, as you know, been exploring my way through that which was no more than an idea when I first started, and it is and has been totally unrehearsed. And that is what, although it elongates it, it also gives it some value, because it means to say that you can watch me get myself into problems and get myself out of problems, and those little techniques may stand you in good stead regardless of the subject which you are painting, because you too will have many problems. So we need recovery techniques. In this case, I've had camera gremlin problems, I've got fruit flies buzzing around me, and now, would you believe it, and you might be able to hear it in my voice, I've now got a cold. No, I think it's because I've been playing around with all this snow, but I've still got a long way to go. So I must stop chatting, and would you believe, because I know time is short, I've actually been trying to do a bit of speed talking. I can't manage it. Okay, so let's stop the chat and move on. Right, now let's do a quick catch up on what I've done and what I propose doing in this section. And in order to do that, I will zoom that in much closer. There we go. There are a number of things which are still worrying me, but there's nothing I can't fix. And look, this heavy line coming round just underneath the baby, that is giving incorrect information. If you go back to my original first cherries I did, and I was talking about shadows and contact, this hard line is saying that the baby's bottom here is in sharp contact with the mother, which is not. So I accidentally got a heavy line around there, but I'm going to push that up a little bit more to help bury some of that, and under the arm there, around here. And I was saying that this shading was a bit square. So what I'm actually getting now is I've got the shapes, but what I'm not getting is the two-dimensional effect in and out. So I will pick up on those. And the trees, I'm still on the Chinese white, but I'm now going to move up to the gouache permanent white. Now that is a very solid opaque colour, so I don't want to use it in its pure form, so I will water it down, but it will certainly be stronger than the Chinese white. For those who worry that your painting is not pure watercolour, well, get a life. It's a question about making things work, right? What else have I got? Oh yes, this, I need to get a to stop her dancing along that frame edge. I need to stop her floating. She's floating at the moment, so I need to plant her back down into the snow. So I think that is really about it. I need to define the baby's head a little bit more. So now you know what I've got and where I'm going to go. I can speed some of this up because you already know, you saw it in part 1 and 2, what I'm doing and how I actually do it. So one other thing, I keep talking about part 1, 2 and 3. If you wish to see them, go down to just below the left hand side of your screen there, and you'll see my name or an image, right? Don't linger too long on the image, just click on it and it will take you to my channel where you're going to find part 1, 2 and 3 plus lots of other odds and ends which may be of interest to you. Right, now I have just checked that last clip to make sure it's got audio on it, and I did notice I was somewhat harsh at one point. So what I need to do now is to calm myself down. So I've gelled my silver flyaway hair back. Look, I've re-manicured my nails. Look, this is all part of it. And relax, because watercolours are very delicate little things, and if I'm not relaxed, I want my brush to flow over the paper. I call it kissing it, a gentle kiss, not a stab, which you can tend to do if you're overstressed. And I always say this to my students when they first arrive: calm yourself down, because you might have been in a traffic jam or had an argument on a bus or something like that. So just calm yourself down until you can float your brush. And I will say this: if I'm disturbed and suddenly I've got to put the bins out or something like that, it takes me a few minutes to recover from that. Look, I know it is my job to put the bins out. Her indoors has told me, but I've still got some measure of control, because as long as I do it, I can do it in my own time. So I'm going to forget about the gremlins, and I'm going to forget about the length of time this is going to take. If it goes past 4 and it has to have 4 plus extension, that's the way it's going to be. Right, now I have already damped the areas I'm going to paint, and I've just laid my tissue on and removed any puddles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop shadow around Mum's hat. So what I need to do is to turn it round now, and I will let this drop shadow drop up to the dry fence. In other words, the fence which is not damp. Here we go. Make sure my head's out of the way of the camera. There we go. That has run it up to the dry fence. Picked up a little bit of fresh water there, because I had never wetted that bit there, and just picked off the edge. Now I'm going to turn it upside down so it will drop away to where I want it to go. I wanted that just a little bit harder because of the shading of the hat. Okay. Right, let it do its own thing now. There's a little tiny bit of spot of dust on there, and the pigment is gathering around it, so I'm going to remove it. There we go. Now it's a little bit hard just round there, but I don't mind that, because don't forget this is the shading coming from a hat. Now look, I'm now looking at, and I've already pre-damped the baby's head, and I've got a dry fence. I'm going to zoom that in even closer. I've got a dry fence on the baby's face, So I'm now going to drop a shadow, a drop shadow in there. You can just about see it. But what it's done is that it will drop the pigment up to the dry fence which I left in there. And I'll just allow that to dry. And I've just looked at Mum's head, and that is a little bit hard. So look, I've got a little bit of fresh water, and I will just very gently ease that back. Can you see it? Yes, you can see it because the camera is close enough. But I need to turn it round because I want that drop shadow to drop back into the hat. Now you can think that I'm being a little bit picky here, and maybe I am, but there will also be a little bit of a drop shadow under Mum's carrot nose. So I'm going to drop that in now. And there will be a tight contact line because the carrot is actually making contact with the snow face. So I don't have to worry about a shadow all the way around. As long as I can get that little bit in, that will tell you that there is contact there. Right, now the moment that's dry, you can see it better now. There it is, see it? And there will also be some under the eyes because they're just bits of coke which are poked in there. So there they are. Now that is psychologically telling you that something is poking out, because if it's not poking out, there won't be a shadow. There we go. So I shall now move. I'm going to let that dry. Or when I say dry, it won't be dry. It would just mean to say it won't be running anywhere. And then I'm going to move down to the feet. I think I can turn that round now. No, I won't. I'm going to go round the baby's bottom and under Mum's elbow there, just to strengthen it up a little bit and get rid of that tight line. I'm going to have to stop though, because I'm going to have to check that that last clip has got audio on it. Now you know what I've done and why I'm doing it. Look, got Mum's eyeshadow on there now, and under the nose. I need to do the same with the baby's eyes and the baby's nose. Not that it's sticking out a long way. Baby's got a #1 nose there. I can now drop into a bit of speed painting to try and make up a little bit of time here. Let me zoom that back. So I'm going to be going around this area, Oh, I'll also need to do that little drop shadow around the coat buttons as well. So I will come back to you and slow the whole thing down if I come across something which is new or may be of interest to you. So here we go. Let's do it. Right, we're back in the land of the living, folks. That was a nice little break for your ears and my croaky voice. So look, what have we actually achieved here? Look, I've now got a little bit more of a three-dimensional look on Mum's face. I've clarified the edges of the baby's face without too many hard lines. There are still, look, well, right, sorry about that little glitch, folks. One of my little audio gremlins attacked me. Look, I've just placed my computer paper cutout mount around here, just so that we can look at Mother's feet. And look, because I managed to clear her away to stop her dancing along the bottom edge here, I've also managed to stop her floating with a little bit, let's see if I can zoom this in, snow. I wanted the snow, fragmented snow, I wanted the snow to be just a little bit disturbed, and side to this side, so that is a nice little counterbalance I got there. The other thing which I did on the clip, which just got gobbled up, a very gentle little shade at the end of the mouth, because Mummy's smiling, and when you smile it raises the cheek just a little bit, so it's all helping to give a two-dimensional appearance to the snow face there. Let's see if I can get that. You're smiling and just pinching your cheek just to check. There it is there, and I've also put a very gentle little one on the baby there, and I've now about to move to, let me just get that wet piece of paper off. I'm now about to move back to these trees with a little bit of my gouache permanent white. Right, now I've now got my gouache permanent white, and it pays you to get a good one, because a lot of the cheaper ones, yes, they will be very opaque, but they're full of junk, crushed, finely chopped plastic and all sorts of other manner of things. Now I would suggest, look, it is a wash, and when I put it on my white palette I can't really see it, so I would suggest that you use a coloured palette when you come to use this. And this is still a wash, because it will dry much lighter, because I'm saving it for my highlights, which will be what I consider to be the king and queen of highlights and lowlights. And if I use them up now, when I'm finished, I've got nowhere to go. And this is, I'm going to zoom this in again, and it's like I say, if you pay that little bit extra and get yourself a good quality one, because you're going to be using very little of it, it will last you for years. He says, just running out of it on his palette. There we go. And just as a matter of interest, have you stopped smiling and pinching your cheeks? Just to see if they do raise up. Right. Sorry, it's my humour again. I'm going to have to get a little bit more white out. And while I'm here with this wash, I'm going to take this opportunity now, and it's a little tiny highlight. I'm going to put a little bit of snow on Mum's hat. Look, you can already see that I wasn't over fussy when I went round there because I knew I'd be doing this at some point. Now, look, it's just a little bit fragmented, and it is a wash, so it will quieten down. And then, if I want to put a highlight, I might not, but if I do want to put a highlight on it, I've got the option of a nice bit of pure white to go on top. Now I need to put some around a bonnet as well. I don't want it all the way around her bonnet, by the way. All I'm doing is just giving an indication that it has been snowing. There we go. A little bit more than that, I think. And I might just add a little drop of water to that to make sure it does go down quiet. The only noisy thing around. I'm now doubling back on a little mist clip here, and look, when I was talking about a different coloured palette, I can now see the white. And by the way, that little tube of permanent white is a 14mm, and that is really all you're going to need. And I was talking about, or in the other clip, I was talking about, look, a little bit of a composition problem here. If I had put a full round moon up there, which might have been quite nice, but it would have given me 3 circular spheres in a line, meaning baby, mother, round moon. So that is the reason why I went for a crescent moon there, in order to give a little bit of extra variety. And I'm now on the permanent white and still on a wash, and I'm just bringing a little bit of the moon out. If I can get my head out of the way. And if I zoom this in very close, look, it's got a lovely little fractured piece on the top. Could almost be a little bonnet. No, I'm not going to put stripes on it. But this process of, or technique, which I use, I'm going to drop that back. This technique which I actually used in order to lift this moon out of the wash, because I go back to the days long before we had these little aids like the masking fluid, which I'm a little bit suspect about anyway, because I think it tends to damage your paper. When we had a situation, we might have had a small cottage, let's say on a hillside, with bracken wash. So what we would actually do, we would do what I did with that moon. I would tend to leave it dry and just put the plain water around it, put my wash on it, and then just lift it out. When I say cottage, it might be a seagull sitting on a post or something like that, and the waves or the sky is going to go past it, and we don't want the sky or waves to be disturbed by a sitting seagull. So that's what we would do, and that's the way we would lift it out. So it is an old technique, and it can still work for you. Right, I think that is about it. I will be coming back on this moon and sharpening up just a little bit. I don't want a white hole there though, so what more can one say? Well, there you go folks, the moon is now out and shining upon our little mum and snow baby and me, because I see the moon and the moon sees me, shining through the leaves of the old oak tree. So please let the light that's shining on me shine upon the ones I love. Yeah. Right. I'll give you a moment to recover from that. And honestly, there's no point in rolling it back. It won't get any better. So why am I singing? For the same reason you are learning to paint. Because I want to. And singing, as with painting, does not just belong to those who are pitch perfect or brush perfect. It belongs to anybody who wants to do it. End of. While I'm still on my white here, what I'm going to do, let me zoom this in even closer. Look, there's my suggested little bit of holly up there, and I intend putting some red berries on it, and they won't show, and I can't lift the green out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put on a couple of little bits of white here, and what I can do is that I can plonk my red back on top. Just checking I've got the right glasses on. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put the little rosy bits on the mum and baby's cheeks, and I'm going to do that in two halves just in case something goes wrong. I have now once again completely changed my water and my palette, and I'm now back up on this light red, and I'm making up a wash, and it's going to be in the range of let's say 1 to 10. This is going to be a number 1 wash, and this time I have not pre-damped the paper because the wash is going to be very weak anyway. So here we go. Right, can we see that? Let me. Oh my gosh, that is. Oh my gosh, that is very, very weak. I'll just strengthen that up just a little bit. Not a lot. Look, all I've done is just dropped that wash on top of the other wash. Bit difficult to get round Mum's nose. I don't want it to look as though she's got a cherry on the end of her nose. So can we drop a little bit? Slightly stronger wash. Just drop it on top of the puddle. There we go. A little bit more, I think. There we go. Mum has now got not only her eyeshadow, but she's got her blusher on as well. I'm going to stop this clip and then, just in case, and come back and do the little baby's cheeks. Right, good to go. Right, now I have just re-looked at Mum's cheeks. That's a better one. And yes, I do have a problem with a cherry on the end of her nose. So I'm going to change the shape of that just by dropping, there we go, dropping out a little bit more of the roundness of that. And what I'm going to do is, I don't want that, even though it's a very gentle wash, I don't want it to all drop to the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tip my board back up and lay it flat so that wash does not drop too far. Oh dear, right, now this time it was not the gremlins, it was my fault. I forgot to put the camera on. Right, now what I've done, I've taken a little bit of this raw cadmium light red and I've just popped it onto the holly berries at the top. Let's see how close I can get this. There, you can see it. I've just popped that straight from the pan onto the permanent white, and look, it's left a little tiny line around it, and that's quite nice because that actually acts as a highlight. I've also taken the same cadmium light red and mixed it with a little bit of that from the pan there, and look, I've contaminated it, so it means to say I've now got to just take that pan out and wash it under the tap. And I've been up and I've had a go at the baby's bobble on his bonnet, and I've overrun it a little bit because I don't want it very, very tight, and I think I might have done better. I could have actually put on a little bit of permanent white there and popped the orange on top, but I think I've got away with it anyway. And the fact that it's overrunning the blue there is quite nice because it stops it being a solid block of orange. It's supposed to be a soft item. So I'm ticking here, and I've made it much larger than what it was when I first left it. So look, when I'm saying I'm ticking, I'm still very concerned about this snake type effect coming around there. It's not looking cozy, so I'm just going to tick that bit of green back in to get it just coming from behind the neck and around here, and then I'm going to just drop it down this section around here to get rid of that snake look. I'm now going to go back to my crimson and drop it in here, and because there's a low drop in there anyway, it means say I can join on absolutely no problem whatsoever. I think that's a little bit better. Okay, I've lost a little bit of that yellow in there, but it doesn't matter because look, the folds are coming round there. And if that drops back this way, that is no problem because the scarf is going round anyway. So I'll put a little bit of water on that, and then just in case some Hawkeye has spotted this and it's been worrying them for a little while, look, I've just found another one here. So I'm going to fill that in, put your mind at rest. There we go. Right, now it's only a little thing, but it's done. And while I'm here, never been away, look, done. Here's a thumb of rule. Muddy palettes equal muddy paintings. So it's worth checking out those little details. I'm now going to go back to the permanent white. And the reason for this is, look, I've looked at Mum's hand there and it's a bit skeleton-like. And really, I want a snowball effect on her hand. So I've come back with a little bit much stronger white this time. And I'm going to round it off. Now, as you can see, it is so strong that it's more than capable of covering a colour. Bit more snowbally. That's better. Right, now I've got rid of that slightly skeletonized hand there. And while I'm here, I'm now moving up to my highlights on my trees, and as I said before, I've been saving this highlights, and I don't want too many of them, but look, you can see them there. And I've still got more to go, but I think I'm pushing my luck somewhat here. With my gremlins. So I'm going to do this what would normally be for me out of sequence, just in case. So if in the event that things do go very drastically wrong, I can send what I've got off to you. Right, now, are we ready for this? Just got to make sure I don't go and disturb that little bit of gouache I'll just put on there. Right, make sure I'm clear. Okay. The sparkle in a proud mummy's eyes, and youthful sparkle in the baby's eyes. There we go, and look at that. You can see why I've been saving that as a beautiful little highlight there. Very pleased with that, but it's like I said, I've done it a little bit on the early side, and I'm even going to just pump out the fingers just a little bit. There we go. It's alright, don't worry, I'm not going to suddenly break into song here. Once is enough. Less is more, as they say. Right now, I'm going to carry moving on in the hope that I can get there in time for Christmas, and because I want to. Okay, I'm going to keep moving on. I have just put all the fragmented clips together, and I've looked at the time, and I can see that this is going to be a bit of a first for me. I'm going to have to put an extension to this part 4, and I know that there are one or two people who may be waiting to get some sort of completion on this, so I'm going to send off what I've got, and meanwhile mother and child have arrived safely, and yes, I know it's been a bit of a long and painful labour, but it's been a labour of love. So now they're here, I want to add a little bit of celebratory decoration, and that's going to take me a little longer than what I've got on this video. So I'm going to say thanks for staying with me, folks. I know we're running up very close to Christmas, and you're busy, we're all busy, and for me, I need to get back into my night job. Bye-bye.